Hi, I'm Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're here with Bob Caniglia from Blackmagic Design. Bob, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Since SIGGRAPH is not brick and mortar this year, it's going to be done virtually, and we're celebrating the SIGGRAPH season by shooting these videos. So thanks for taking the time. You guys just introduced a new 12K camera, and that will play a role in visual effects workflows. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Right. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's interesting that the 12K camera, everybody kind of focuses on the 12K because it's such a big number and all of that, and that's true. But the real beauty of it is it's our own sensor design, and you can actually shoot 12K, but you can also shoot 8K and 4K with the whole sensor. So that way you're not doing a crop. So that really makes it usable for a lot of different spaces. But specifically in visual effects, 12K might not even be enough. I mean, it is enough, but it could, now that they're doing a lot of this new type of production where they're on set and they have LED walls and they're doing, all these new Mandalorian type workflows kind of need higher resolution. So the 12K to shoot VFX plates is actually something that we've already gotten a lot of interest in from people saying, I get it, I could see why I would need that. Now, you're doing a documentary for a local TV station somewhere, you don't need to shoot 12K, but that's okay because it does the other flavors too, formats and sizes and a variety there. But the real benefit in the post side of things is Blackmagic RAW, because playing back 12K RAW files would take, a room full of computers and hard drives and everything else. Blackmagic RAW has this recording codec that we designed that works really well with this sensor, in the sense that you can record 12K files but still be able to play them back on a 3-year-old laptop. So that really helps because you're only shooting one file. So traditionally when you do a RAW workflow, you usually shoot RAW, then you create some proxies, and then you send the RAW files to the colorist and you send the proxies to the editor, and this way you send one file to everybody. Everybody works from the same file. There's a lookup table that's applied so that the editor sees a decent looking image when he's working with it. The VFX guys can turn it on and off, and then the colorist turns off that and goes in, does the color, then sends an update to everybody else. They only have to just apply that metadata, so they're not reconforming or doing any of that stuff. So that really helps with the whole workflow, and the only way you could do that to shoot 12K would be with our Blackmagic RAW.
And how difficult is it to make the camera shoot 4K, 2K, 12K? Is it just a push of a button?
Well, it's a push of the button in software. Yeah. So, and the thing about it is the software design of the Blackmagic, of all the Blackmagic products, really in the last few years, have all moved to our Blackmagic operating system that runs underneath for everything. So then it's like an app that runs on top. But if you were to have one of the new Pocket 4K or 6K cameras and you then saw the 12K camera, the menu structure is all the same. And that really helps because oftentimes people have multiple cameras on set, and sometimes there's multiple Blackmagic cameras, and this way, if they're moving from camera to camera, it's got the same settings so people are familiar with it. Even with our new Video Assist products, which we just announced some new HD models, but we also have the 12G models that do HDR and 4K. But all of those menus all look the same too, and it's the same menu structure that goes through all of the products, not just the cameras, but also the Video Assist and the new HyperDeck 8K. So I mean, all those things have the same menus, and that helps again make people more comfortable with the product and speed it up. I mean, if you imagine if Apple had 3 different iPhones, but they all ran on different software, and now that would make no sense to us, but that does happen in other companies because different departments create different products and they don't normally talk to each other. But at Blackmagic, they're all kind of talking to each other. There's one underlying Blackmagic operating system that helps with all those things, and then of course DaVinci Resolve on the end of it knows how to deal with the Blackmagic files as well as any of the other files that might come in from other cameras, and just blend it all together for the end result.
And the Resolve comes with the camera. If you buy the camera, you get that as well, correct?
Right. So you get the full DaVinci Resolve Studio with the camera. It's a license code that'll work on 2 computers. So if you have one at home and one at the office, you can share or share it with another person.
Okay. Now let's talk about trends a little bit. And you touched on that with the Mandalorian and how people are going to be working, virtualization workflows. Can you talk a
Hmm.
little bit about that and how your products fit into that?
Yeah, so we have quite a number of products that fit into it depending on the setup. So there's, companies that make these the virtual walls that are actual, I guess. But those big screens, LED walls, whatever, they require the ability to put in high resolution images in them. And sometimes they need to switch between images. So some of them are actually, pumping 8K into it, and they need to switch between them. So we have an 8K switcher that does that. We have an 8K hyperdeck that plays back 8K. We have 8K cards you can put in computers to get the 8K signals out of them. So there's a bunch of different pieces that wind up going into it. Now the camera component, which is new, would be to make either 8K or 12K or whatever we need to make to be able to get images onto these screens. And so that becomes you know it's a larger component than what we were in originally. I mean, some people were using cameras, but for the high resolution, we didn't have anything above 4.6K. We had the 6K pocket camera, which is newer, but nothing in 8K. Well, now we have 8K and 12K, so there's more.
Okay. And if people want to find out more about your products, maybe get a demo, video demo, where can they go?
Sure. So two things I always suggest is if you follow us on Twitter at Blackmagic_news, you'll find out all the announcements, including all the software upgrades that across our product line, because we do them often. So that's the first thing I check every morning. And the other thing to do is just go to blackmagicdesign.com.
Fantastic. Bob, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you. Stay safe.
You too.